The White House is calling for the immediate release of a sick Iranian-American man imprisoned in Iran. 81-year-old Bakir Namazi was ordered back to prison after a 4-day medical leave. He and his son were sentenced to 10 years in prison on charges they spied for the U.S. while on vacation in Tehran. But his family says Namazi and his son are just political pawns in a larger fight over the Iran nuclear deal.
They've done nothing wrong. They've been unjustly detained. They've been unjustly tried. And I would imagine only that they must be victims to some horrific game that none of us in my family can understand. And exposing my family to such horrific conditions is just so cruel and unjust.
Jonathan Wattell is a former director of communications and spokesperson at the United States mission to the United Nations. He joins us now to weigh in on this issue. And Jonathan, this story, to anyone with a good heart and good mind and good soul, is problematic because you're kind of shaking your head saying, what is going on? Particularly given the fact that this 81-year-old man, Bakir Namazi, worked for UNICEF for 2 decades, which is the United Nations Children's Relief. They're working in 190 countries to save children from disaster situations. What is going on?
You're right. This man dedicated his career to helping the most needy people in the world and finds himself in prison being accused of spying. It's grotesque. And his son, you know, the way that even he was kind of lured into showing up into Iran, he was told, you know, you can go visit your son, thinking that, okay, they're opening things up so I can have a little humanitarian visit to see my own boy. And then they nab him and throw him in jail. And not only that, the guy's sick. He's got heart problems. Right. He very well can perish over, you know, any day now.
At 81 years of age, one has to wonder how strong his heart is and how strong his resolve is to withstand the intense pressures of being in probably one of the most notorious prisons in Iran, which is the Evin prison.
Yeah, Evin prison is just dastardly. It's known for torture, cruelty. You know, the boy, his son, is you know, Babak didn't mention it here, but he's actually spoken out about how his brother has been hit with electrodes and tortured and things like it's really nasty. It's not a good situation at all.
That is ghastly that they would treat their own prisoners, but American prisoners in particular, given the fact that this Iran nuclear deal has given them billions of dollars, U.S. dollars, and they still do this to the American people. Something has got to be done. The president is vowing that he will impose more sanctions if these men are not immediately released.
Sanctions are absolutely necessary. You have to keep the heat up on the Iranians as much as possible. One of the reasons, at least I feel we're here, and I'm sure that many would agree, that we paid, under the Obama administration, we paid $400 million in cash to the Iranians just before 4 Americans were released.
Yeah, we all remember that transport, that plane that carried the cash, in cash, $400 million to Iran.
And ultimately, it ended up being a payment of $1.7 billion to the Iranians. As ridiculous as this will sound, it was payment for a deal that the United States had made to sell arms to the Shah of Iran, who has nothing to do with the theocratic regime that's in power, but they're taking advantage of a money deal and transaction that certainly is something that they had nothing to do with, and emboldened the Iranians to seize more Americans, essentially.
You know, I don't want to editorialize here, but a lot of people look at this and see this as sheer evil, and that a despotic regime would impose this and inflict this kind of dangerous situation on an 81-year-old man. But let me go to what the State Department is officially stating here. This is from State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert, who says, quote, "We're deeply disappointed in the fact that he," referring to Bakir Namazi, has been returned to prison. We're concerned about his health. We call for his unconditional release from his unjust detention in Iran, and that renews our calling for all Americans who are being held in Iran and being held unjustly to be returned to the United States. And she mentioned all Americans. Let me go through the list here. Since 2007, Robert Levinson has been imprisoned there. Zizhu Wang, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, arrested in 2016, a Princeton graduate student who was visiting Iran. And then Karen Vafadari, who was running an art gallery in Tehran, was just sentenced to 27 years in prison because of his religious identity, or her religious identity.
Yeah, his religious identity. I mean, the issue here is that the Iranians for decades have been terrible to the Baha'is and other religious
Baha'is,
groups.
Christians, any other.
You know, if you're not part of the Shia hardcore belief, you're just an outsider.
So look, beyond the sanctions, what can the United States do to protect its citizens, to get its citizens back, and to make Iran buckle down under not only just UN sanctions, but just the respect for the rule of law and the respect for human life?
Yeah, you know, there are steps that you certainly don't do, and that's not to get yourself into some sort of ransom situation.
Yeah.
Because you can fix the problem. You know, we're here now because of this, so don't go there if you can avoid it. It wasn't just cash back during the Obama days. 7 Iranians were released from U.S. prisons, and 14 Iranians had extradition charges dropped. They got a better deal out of this, money-wise and people-wise. It wasn't, you know, if you're talking about fair trade, you know, you can enter negotiations and you can work out some sort of way to get through this. In the case of the Obama negotiations, the Swiss were working with the, you know, acting as mediators between the United States and the Iranians. There's nothing wrong with using a middleman to try to get to the result that you want, and maybe that's what we need to do in a quiet way. But we really cannot capitulate here. We really have to be strong and show a lot of resolve.
Well, we spent a lot of time on this, and I got to end it there. But I wanted to real quickly ask you about the fact that the Israeli plane was shot down by Syria. What does that say? That does not bode well at all for the future there.
No, it doesn't. An Israeli fighter jet hasn't been shot down for decades. In 1982, when there was a firefight with the Syrians, that's the last time we've seen something like that. An F-16 plane is a huge deal, not only financially. A plane like that costs $500 million, if not more. You have one of the Israeli pilots in very bad shape. So
I hate to step on you, but I'm getting a wrap. But we could delve into that, and we'll be following this story a lot more, because there's a lot that's probably going to come from that situation. Jonathan Wachtell, always good to have your perspective, sir. Thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here, Kevin.